it was a trial this morning. I think Abby wanted to put it. Abby or Matt said we got to get people to pay attention, so we decided to do a timer. And if you all noticed this morning, our sound booth lady Abby has got a black eye. She is getting tired. Everybody, look. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. She's tired of everybody asking, so I figured I'd announce it this morning since we're doing announcements. It's Christy's fault, so you guys can bring it up with them. They might need counseling. I'm not really sure. So we'll see. Yeah, just a couple announcements this morning. We have two. If you guys ever want to get in contact with the church or want to know what's going on in the church, there's two forms of contact with that. The main one is through the GroupMe app, and the second one is a group text message. The GroupMe app that you can download on your phone is free, and it's intended for group conversation like sharing prayer requests, praises, or news. The text messaging, however, doesn't allow for group conversation, so that is used for cancellations or schedule changes. There are times when opportunities come up, and many of us miss out because we don't have a way of contacting you. If you need help with getting signed up for either of those options, Abby would love to help you. She's the one with the black eye. Men's breakfast. The next men's breakfast, it's men's breakfast, I guess women could come too, is January 31st, and that will be at 8 o'clock in the morning in the fellowship hall. So please, men, it's been great turnouts. I was not there for the last one, but it still was a good turnout. And just bring some friends, bring people you know. It is really good. The food is mainly what's good, but also the conversation is good too. Prayer and fasting will start next week on the 15th and go until Sunday. We will break the fast together with communion and then soups after the morning service. So please be in prayer for that. As you guys, if you do want to participate in it, please do so. Movie night is this Saturday at 6 p.m. We will be watching what's called a Carpenter's Prayer. If you plan to come, please sign up on the back table. There's a sign-up sheet there. This will help the ladies know how much food to prepare. Apparently there's food. I don't know if anybody knows what that movie is, but Matt was just telling me a little bit this morning. It's about the New Hope Church, kind of just how that started and all that jazz. Apparently Matt's half-ton lifted pickup is in there. So at the very end, thankfully. That's all of Matt's in there. And then right after church this morning, Unexpected Blessings has a meeting. So any of you that are involved in that, please be at the meeting. And if any of the other churchgoers want to come into the meeting and listen, please do so. That'd be awesome.
Worship team, ouch! Worship team, come up. Got me. That's how electric the sermon's going to be today. No, here's the problem. I'm going to tell you a story. You guys know me. I like to tell a little story before we get started. So the problem with having seasoned people on your staff, like Dwayne, he's like Aaron Rodgers. He just didn't want to do nothing today, so he just said, I'm going to sit in the back all day, and you're going to have to go up and pray. So I'm going to point it out because they give me a microphone, and I can do that. Real quick, on the movie night on Saturday night, A Carpenter's Prayer. So New Hope School, New Hope Church. It's located by the Camden Frontier School. If you go there, there's 3 bells in the parking lot. There was 3 churches in the little town of Frontier that were fixing to close. Dwight Clark was the pastor of that church, one of those churches, and he said, I want to build this big church, and I want to build a school to go with it, and we're going to build it right here. And everybody thought he was nuts, and he fought all sorts of stuff to get it done. And they made a movie on it because his son, Lance Clark, works for Huntington University, and he made the movie. It's a great movie. It's not like some of those cliche Christian low-budget movies, that are like, oh, my. This has like one of the Baldwin brothers in it. It's really good. Make it a point to be here because the story behind the movie really, really fits this church. So you really, really want to be here for that on Saturday. Plus, there's going to be food, and you can hang out with me. It doesn't get much better than that. So we're going to pray, and then we're going to go into our service. So, Lord, we just thank you for today. We thank you for a warm sanctuary and for clear roads to get here. And God, we just ask that you open our hearts and our minds, that we can put away the distractions of the coming year ahead and the year that we're coming out of, and we can just focus on you, God, and your goodness and your glory. That throughout this next hour or so of our lives, we can be just dedicated to growing in your word, growing in our faith, Lord, and mostly growing in your Son, Jesus. We ask all this in his name, and we ask a special blessing over the offering. We ask that you use it to further your kingdom here on earth, and however you see fit and your will is done with that. We ask in the name of Jesus, amen.
Amen.
Please stand.
Please stand with us if you're able. We're going to worship. It's a new year, and we are still faced with many problems and trials in this new year, but we're going to worship the same faithful God. He's faithful, and he is good, and he doesn't change. So.
Give thanks to the Lord, our God and King. His love endures forever. For he is good, he is above all things. His love endures forever. Sing praise, sing praise. With a mighty hand and outstretched arm, his love endures forever. For the life that's been reborn, his love endures forever. Sing praise, sing praise, sing praise, sing praise. Forever God is faithful, forever God is strong, forever God is with us, forever. From the rising to the setting sun, his love endures forever. By the grace of God we will carry on, his love endures forever. Sing praise, sing praise, sing praise, sing praise. Forever God is faithful, forever God is strong, forever God is with us, forever. Forever God is faithful, forever God is strong, forever God is with us, forever and ever, forever. Come thou fount of every blessing, tune my heart to sing thy grace. Streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. Teach me some melodious sonnet, sung by flaming tongues above. Praise the mount I'm fixed upon it, mount of thy redeeming love. Oh, to grace, how great a debtor daily I'm constrained to be. Let thy grace, Lord, like a fetter, bind my one Lord, to thee. Prone to wander, Lord, I feel it. Prone to leave the God I love. Here's my heart, Lord, take and seal it for thy courts above.
As he passed by, he saw a man blind from birth. And his disciples asked him, Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Jesus answered, It's not that this man sinned or his parents, but that the works of God might be displayed in him. We must work the works of him who sent me while it is day. Night is coming when no one can work. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world. Having said these things, he spit on the ground and made mud with the saliva. Then he anointed the man's eyes with the mud and said to him, Go wash in the pool of Siloam, which means sent. So he went and washed and then came back seeing. The neighbors and those who had seen him before as a beggar were saying, Is this not the man who used to sit and beg? Some said, It is he. Others said, No, but he is like him. He kept saying, I am the man. So they said to him, How were your eyes opened? He answered, The man called Jesus made mud and anointed my eyes and said to me, Go to Siloam and wash. So I went and washed and received my sight. They said to him, Where is he? He said, I do not know. Please be seated. Children are dismissed. Thank you.
Well, good morning. So, is this thing on? 2026 is here, and I always love the new year because you always hear all the new things we're all going to do, right? Like yesterday, I was working and I left a call and I was going by Market House in Hudson or in Hillsdale, and the gym was packed at like 10 o'clock at night because everybody starts their gym membership. And then I kind of got sidetracked thinking like, who goes to the gym at night? Like, shouldn't you go in the morning? But then it was probably a bunch of young kids and they had nothing to do anyway. So anyway, it made me think that when 2026 started, we're all excited. We're going to have new things and it's going to be the new time to jump off. And I can tell you, if you need a year on the calendar to change, to start something new, you're probably not going to carry it through. You're just not going to have discipline to do it. They say like by the 12th day of January, like 70% of New Year's resolutions are already broken. Because it's a thing. And things are always going to get broken. And things are always going to lead you astray. And things are always going to let you down. And there's only one thing that won't, and that's Jesus. And as God gave us the year that we all just went through, and now we're coming into a new year, we all have the same opportunity, and that's to share the gospel and to grow in God's word and to grow in our faith. And a lot of times we hear that and we're like, yes, I feel it on Sunday morning and I know exactly what you're saying, but I just don't know, like when I leave here, I don't feel the same way I feel at church. And I remember when we first started going to church and I got serious with Jesus, I remember being like, I wanted to be at church all the time. Because I remember that feeling and how I felt. You know, when like Pastor Trav would be preaching and I'd be like, oh man, that's just so good. I just want to be there. I just want to hear that. Because you know, then the week starts and you go out in your week and that's the real world. And that's some ugly stuff out there. And you're struggling and you're mad and you're angry. But you don't feel that way at church, right? Or you shouldn't. Well, here's the thing. In today's world, there's so many voices. There's so many opinions of what everybody should be doing, and we have the ability to figure anything out at our fingertips within seconds. Like if you think I'm joking, I did not know there were so many experts about the country of Venezuela till yesterday morning. I didn't even know, like, this is me, man. I'm be serious with you guys. I was asking people yesterday all day, like, what did we go get that dude for? Like, I don't even understand what's going on because of this. There's so much noise. You can't even trust media outlets or what's right. So I'm just going to open my Bible because that's easier than just throwing my opinion out there, okay? But we live in a world where that's constant. Everybody's been given the ability to have a voice that matters. So I'm just going to say what I feel and it's right, okay? Everybody's an expert on NFL referees or whatever works. Everybody's got this little black box they can send and get some blue thumbs up or some red hearts, and everybody's happy, happy, happy. But at the end of the day, they're not. See, they're blind, and they're hurting, and they're lost, and they're hopeless. Because in the world we live in, we got to have an answer for everything. Why did this happen? Why? Why is my family not like that family? Why can't we all just gather together and be happy? Why does this have to happen? Why is my kid not playing this sport? Why is my kid not an all-A student? Why does my vehicle break down when I go on vacation? Or my buddy just drove all the way to like Daytona Beach or Daytona, Florida, Daytona, Orlando. He went down to Disney World, whatever town that's in Florida. I ain't never been there. I don't plan on going there, okay? Anyway, he drove all the way down there, drove straight through. They stopped at an IHOP, caught some sleep, went in to get some breakfast. Come back out, his vehicle wouldn't start. He was in Florida for 4 days without a vehicle. You're just like, why does that even happen to people, right? Because here's why. Sometimes it just is. We don't need to have a reason. Sometimes things just happen. And everybody's like, but why? What have you done? I was talking to my buddy yesterday, and he's really struggling right now with some deer hunting stuff down in Ohio, and people, well, he's always kind of struggling. But he was all worked up, and he's just like, well, I just don't understand why God hates me. He knows my passions, and he hates me. And I said, let me just stop for a minute. I can promise you God ain't up there with all he's got going on, and like, I'm going to ruin this dude's day today. Okay? But here's why he thinks this way. At 61 years old, this is why he thinks this way. He grew up in a church that told him he was not good enough. He grew up in a church that said you need to look the part. He grew up in a church that said there is no grace. If you mess up, you are gone. So you know what that's done to him? For 60 years, this man has carried that with him. And the minute he makes a mistake, you know the first thing he says? Why does God hate me? He has an outburst. He'll call me and say, man, I just got my name taken out of the Lamb's Book of Life today, man. I got mad driving and this happened. I says, dude. And my wife, I love her. My wife will say, babe, he's exhausting. He's exhausting when you talk to him. But here's the thing. What if somebody didn't have that hope for me? There's a reason he keeps calling. Right? This blind dude we just read about. He went to that temple every day and begged. Every day he went and begged. Every day. Blind since birth, right? Every day he went and begged. And finally, one day, he could see. Because for God's glory. Sometimes we don't understand why things are happening. Some days here in the church, it's like, I was standing in my bathroom 2 nights ago, and I was sorting laundry, and I said, Lord, I still don't understand it. Why you called me for this. There's so many people that are more educated, that are better people. They don't get angry. When they read their Bible, they understand it. When they study their sermons, they don't get sidetracked. There's all these things I keep telling myself. And I'm standing there in the bathroom sorting stuff, and God, as quiet as he can say it, says, I don't need all that stuff. You need me. Oh, I get it. See, that's what this is all about. We need God. This gentleman in John 9 we're about to read about, he needed Jesus. Nothing else mattered. He stood there with his hands out wanting some money every day because he couldn't go to work because he was blind. But he got something better than money. So John 9, 1 through 5, it says, as he passed by, he saw a blind man from birth. And his disciples asked him, Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Jesus answered, it was not that this man sinned or his parents, but that the works of God might be displayed in him. Verse 4, we must work the works of him who sent me while it is day. Night is coming when no one can work. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world. We see Jesus and his disciples are walking past this blind man, and it said he'd been blind since birth. It never said that Jesus and his disciples had ever had contact with this man prior to this point. The text doesn't say how they knew the man had been blind since birth, but many scholars believe that this local man that others had seen and knew about, had talked about in the upcoming text. We'll see this. But this was a local guy, so they knew him. Okay? This wasn't like the first time they were in Jerusalem. His disciples probably knew this guy, all right? It said he was a man, so let's just say he was over the age of 18. So the disciples knew him, probably seen him there all the time. Just no different than in Hillsdale, all right? There's some of us that do a job where we know certain people, right? Like we drive down the road, we know who that person is. We see him at Rot and Ronnie's, we know who that person is, right? It's no different here, okay? They knew who this guy was. They knew he was blind since birth, all right? It also said that as they passed by, and it is believed that this man is standing near the temple, as that's where beggars would go. They would go and they would stand outside the temple because the people going to church would feel bad and give them things. See, they didn't go stand in front of the bars. They didn't go stand in front of the taverns. They went to the church, the temple, and those people would give them things. That's why they would go there. And sometimes the temple would help them, it said. We see all throughout the Old Testament that being blind is a very common thing. It's all throughout the Old Testament. Deuteronomy, Leviticus, Exodus, you see it all the time. People are born blind. All right, this was a common occurrence. Isaiah 42:7 said the Messiah would give sight to the blind, and we see several times in the New Testament that happening. Jesus healing someone that's blind. Okay? Now, when I was going through this, I often think about, especially when I'm meeting with people, I'm like, I try to rationalize things to a really human form. And then I'm always like, well, man, it's still okay. Like, you still have your home, you still have your children, you still have your family, you still have whatever. What happens when you don't? Like what happens when you don't? Like, look at Job. He lost everything. And that dude was like relentless. Like, no, it's God. It's all God. I'm not wavering. But yet, think about this. We are in such a culture ingrained about us that the minute something doesn't go our way, we question everything. Why is that? Like, I can tell you right now, I see people lose their life all the time. You see these people like on hospice and care homes. All they care about is talking about Jesus. At the very end, that's all that matters. Why is it that little dash on our gravestone is filled with chaos? We know what the answer is. Everyone here knows what the answer is. But we're like, no. I got to do this. I got to be involved in this. My kids got to do that. I got to make sure I go here. Like, you know what I know? This is what I notice about when you get old. You go to the doctor a lot. My mom and dad drive to like Jackson because they have a new doctor's office to go find the doctor's office. Because my dad don't trust GPS. He's like, I don't know that person in my phone telling me where to go, so I'm going to figure it out on my own. Do a pre-trip. Okay, that's what you do. But my point is, it's like that's what happens. We see it all the time, man. These people age, they go to the doctor, they go to the doctor, they go to the doctor. And I'm thinking, man, there's got to be more. Because right now, we're young, we're focused on this chaos. Think I'm wrong? A few weeks ago, everybody had Palestine flags flying. Now we got Venezuelan flags flying. It's chaos that entraps our minds. Literally. And instead of saying, hey, Sharon, I see you got a cane now. Are you all right? You know, is something going on with you? Well, we're point A to point B. Right? And we all know what the outcome is going to be. We see the disciples ask a question that's so common even for us today. Who sinned? Got to blame somebody, right? Whose fault is this? Who did this? All right? They had to find something or someone to blame the issue on. This was popular in the Jewish doctrine. And remember, these are Jewish educated men. The disciples weren't just like a bunch of ragtag fishermen. They were educated Jewish men. All right? Which makes it even more impressive to me when they understood the gospel. Because, see, they had a belief. They had a system that was just indoctrinated in them since birth. They'd done it. They'd been to the school. But they realized, hey, there's more. It's not about me, it's about Jesus. That's what I love about the disciples. See, they always get kind of, we kind of paint this picture, they're a bunch of like uneducated ragtag dudes, and everybody's like, oh, I can relate to that. These guys, they knew the law. They knew Jewish law, okay? This was popular in the Jewish doctrine that any physical issue, blind, deaf, mute, etc., was a direct result of someone sinning. But it is said this man had been born blind. How could this man have sinned before he was born? I figured this out this week. During this time, it was believed that those in Judaism, that children could sin in the womb. So they were so adamant on passing blame on people. They believed kids could sin in the womb. All right? However, the next thing they say is even a little more crazy. His parents sinned, causing this man to be blind. As crazy as that sounds, it's not 100% off base. Sin causes us to suffer, to be ill and sick. When we're stuck in a life of sin, we may seem great on the outside. You ever see that? Like, you know them people that are just living this wild life, and you're like, man, they just got it together, it seems like, dude. Like, they ain't got no problems. They got a new truck. They got a good job. They're doing this. They're doing that. They're going places. They're going on vacations all the time. They just got this perfect life. But inside, they're dying. They're lifeless. They're hopeless. They're hurting. They have nothing. All right? They don't know that at this time because they think this is as good as it gets. They think what they're doing right now, this is as good as it gets. Let's be realistic. What do we get, like 40 years on average of like where it's good living? You know, like 20 to 60, right? Where you're healthy and happy. What's that compared to eternity? Right? It doesn't make no sense. I always, this is my new thing. This is my thing. I told you guys I'm fasting anger, right? Speaking of fasting, this week, start backing up. If you plan on fasting, maybe try to cut down to 2 meals a day instead of 3. Next week, it's going to start, or the week after next, it'll be the 15th. The night of the 15th, we'll start our fast. It's very important to really prepare yourself for that. And we're going to talk about it a little more this week. We'll talk about it on Wednesday night. Going into it, we'll have some conversations about fasting. So, now when we talk about this sin and why it's so important to not toy with sin, this is why repentance plays such a role in our gospel life. All right? When Jesus heals the man at the pool in John 5:14, he tells this man to sin no more so nothing worse happens to you. Now listen, the legalistic people in the churches, they love this verse. Like, see? Something bad's going to happen to you. They can't wait. They just can't wait to do that to people, right? Because they're good. They don't got to worry about that, right? But the rest of us that have a heart and understand Jesus, we know we're going to sin. What he was saying was, you walked out of that life of sin. Don't return back to it. All right, don't go, because so many times people think that once, well, I'm just good to go, I got saved, I'm good to go, I'm going to walk out the door, I'm going to keep living my life. Well, it's not what Jesus is saying. It's saying turn from them ways of sin. You get angry, try to fight that anger. War against it. We should be warring against sin every day. Sin is not something we should ever take lightly. We should be striving to be a light in the world and one that is dying to ourselves daily. Let me tell you a great example of this. So there's a lot of people that's like, man, I don't know how to do this. If you're married, it's easy. It is. It's easy. 99% of marriages, you know what their fight's over? Who's right? Really? It's about that. And it carries on. It's generational. Well, no, I'm right about this. Really? Do you know, I can't remember the last time me and my wife had an argument. I'm not saying we don't argue. An argument over something important. It's foolish, man. But if you just die to yourself on that and you're like, you know what? This really don't matter. What's more important is leading my house. What's more important is being a godly influence. What's more important is being a godly example to my children. Because if you start doing that, that's a choice. You know what choices become? Habits. Then people see it. That's why it's important. Now, when these men asked if this man's parents sinned, this is not an uncommon question even today. If we as parents sin and live out a sinful lifestyle, our children will pay the price for that. Now, for a lot of people, they're going to jump up and down like, hold on now. Because we do live in a culture where kids talk about not being held enough and blame their mom and dad for everything. All right? When you become an adult, you'll realize, for all you people in here, all you kids in here, when you get to the point and say, listen, I did the best, my parents did the best they could with what they knew. Sometimes you just got to grow up and realize things weren't perfect for you, and that's okay. All right? Your parents did the best they could with what they knew. All right? I guarantee you if they could do it over, they would. My boys are 12 and 9, and there's a lot of things I wish I could do over already. That's just the way it works. If parents sin and live out a lifestyle, your children are going to pay for that price. If children see parents argue and hate and live a wild lifestyle, most children are going to think it's okay to do the same. And listen, this is the thing. I'm going to humanize this. I know a lot of police officers. When they retire, they are arresting the kids of the people they started arresting when they started becoming cops. It's generational. Okay? It happens. Here's the thing, it doesn't have to. You can break that curse. You know in a lot of families, what I see a lot of families start coming to church when they have kids. Me and Stephanie, we didn't go to church all the time until Bo was born. We both said this. We want our kids raised in church we want our kids better than us. That's a normal reaction for many parents, okay? So these guys asking who sinned, this man or his parents, is a common thing. But just because your parents sin does not mean you got to live in that sin. Just because your parents go to church every Sunday and your parents are believers don't mean you're a believer. It's the same choice, okay? We are responsible for our sin, and it can and will affect generations after us. Think of the children of Israel wandering in the desert for 40 years. There was children born in that time. Did they deserve to be born into that wandering? They didn't do nothing. They were just born. Okay? They were born in this time. It wasn't nothing they did, but they had to deal with the sin. I've said this a million times. All the children of Israel weren't bad people, I bet, but they all had to suffer. Something we all have to realize, okay? And this is why. I think most of us, we want better for our children than we had. That is why if you see sin destroy your life, if you see the chaos it's caused, you submit your life to Jesus and you communicate and live this journey with your children. One of the things I'm big on is goals for my children. I have a saying. I say it all the time. Give your kids goals, not cell phones. Okay? It'll change the world. Trust me. It'll change the world. If I'm going to give my kids a goal and I say, Bo, what's your goal for this? And tell me how you're going to obtain it. What I found as a father, if I'm going to do that, when I set a goal, I sit down and talk to him and Asher about it. Hey, boys, this is my goal. I want you guys to help hold me accountable on this goal. Okay? Because this is what it teaches. It teaches communication to your kids. All right? It teaches your kids they can come talk to dad. All right? It's a savings account. Communication with your children is a savings account. Put it in now. So when they get older, all right, and girls start smelling pretty, they'll come talk to dad, not their buddies. All right? Still try to be cool and talk to my kids. It's a struggle still. So, verse 3, Jesus blows their theory, the theory the disciples had right out of the water. They're looking to blame somebody. I mean, that's the first thing. You ever notice that? Like anytime something happens, we want to blame somebody. Well, whose fault is this? You show up to the firehouse tomorrow morning, there's a dent in the fire truck. You know, the first question is, who was on duty and did this? Patrol cars. You guys get a new patrol car, it's like 24 hours, somebody's got to dent it or hit something. Dude, it's like moths to a flame with patrol cars and the police. They're just, I want to wreck it first. Let me try. And then nobody knows who did it. Sorry, Levi, I'm just saying. Their budget's our budget. It's kind of an odd thing, okay? I get mad about it. Jesus says, it wasn't this man or his parents that sinned, but this happened so the works of God might be displayed in him. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to hit on this, and I'm going to keep going back to this point. Bad things happen. And for a lot of people, they don't understand it. Like, why did this happen? I was talking to someone the other day, and they said, well, if it was your children, would you understand? And I said, no. I wouldn't. They said, you can't say that. You're a pastor. I said, I'm a human. And I don't understand that because his ways are higher than my ways. What I do understand is we serve a sovereign God. We can't worship the God that gives us the sunshine and then curse the God that when bad things happen. You can't do that. You can't question God. You can say, man, Lord, why is this happening? Why is this happening? You can question that, but you can't never question who God is. He's a sovereign God. All right? This made me think of Job, all these tragedies that happened, and Job never lost his faith in God. Even when his wife and his buddies were like, just curse God and die. Dude, you're a mess. You've lost everything. And everybody was like, just walk away. And he was like, no, he was so rooted in his faith. Lord, I hope I have faith like that. To not question it, to not shake it, to not be blaming other people, to not be looking for what caused this. All right? He never wavered. He always trusted God. We have to remember here, in this verse of the Bible, right here in John 9, we live in a fallen world. You want to know why bad things happen? You live in a fallen world. I live in a fallen world. All right? In Genesis 3, when sin entered the picture and it fractured God's perfect creation, we've all had to deal with it since. There's no way out. Now, here's the thing. There's common grace here on earth. So we have good days and we have bad days. We have days that everything goes right. We have days that nothing goes right. All right? How we react to that is what dictates our next step. You know how sometimes you get up and you're mad that you're just not having a good day, and you get down the road and everybody's making you mad. You go to the gas station and everybody made you mad at the gas station, and you get to work and everybody made you mad at work. maybe, just maybe, it's you. I know that's hard in the world we live in, right? Because it can't be me. Like there's people in here today that I know personally that I'm like, I wish I was like them. They never get mad. Dwayne, Mike, they don't get mad. They just don't. You know why? They're like, I've been down that road. I ain't doing that no more. They learn from it. They realize there's a bigger being, something more important than this. Okay? God didn't deliberately cause this man to be born blind. God did, however, heal this man years later for his glory and the good of this man. Sometimes things just happen. We don't need to know why. We might not ever know why, as long as we're on this side of heaven. I don't stand here today saying I totally understand all that. I do understand is this. God knows. I don't have to. I remember when I first took a step of faith and I was going to tell people that I was a believer in the job I did as a fireman. You see a lot of bad things. We had this call, this girl got beat to death by her stepdad. And she was 3 years old, I'll never forget it. This was like right in the previous, like I'm in this transition period of my life. And this girl was mutilated. And we get called and they had said she fallen down a flight of stairs. And I remember doing CPR on her and I leaned over to a guy that's now a coach of one of my sons. And I said, hey man, go around the ambulance and call 911. And tell him on the phone, tell him we need police here now. I could tell quickly this girl had more than this. And two troopers showed up, Tony Weldy and Britt Owen. I turkey hunt with Britt Owen all the time. We're still good friends. And I was in such a zone of this call that I never realized it was Britt until this past spring. We were turkey hunting. He told me the story about it. And I remember being angry that this had happened. And I remember being angry that someone could do this to a little girl. All right? Just mutilated her. All right? And we got back to the firehouse, and I remember the guys come up to me and said, I was kind of standing off, and these guys, I didn't have kids at this time. Me and Stephanie were not married at this time. We were dating. This guy come up to me and said, with a group of guys, and they stood around me, and they said, how could God let this happen? And they were mad. And I was so scared that I was going to blow it for God. I said, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know. And they said, go figure. Typical Christian answer. And it haunted me and haunted me and haunted me. So I went and seen a Christian counselor on it. And this is the advice he gave me. I never went back, just so you know. This is what he told me. Well, maybe somebody should have prayed for that little girl and that wouldn't have happened. Now, I was a newer believer, and I'd read my Bible, some of it, and I thought, well, I've never seen that part in my Bible, so I don't think I'm going back to this guy. Here's the thing. Sometimes things just happen. It's not for us to understand. We get wrapped up in it and caught up in it, and sin just happens because we live in a fallen world, and here's the thing, this is not our home. As great as it is at times, it isn't our home. As beautiful as this church is, it's not our home. As warm and comfortable as your bed is, it's not your home. We all long for heaven. All of us do. Okay? Verse 4, this is a verse that many people have read and we think nothing about. However, this is honestly the turning point of the New Testament. So people don't even understand John 9:4 is a turning point in the New Testament. We read it, we don't think anything of it, okay? We're just like, it's just Jesus, all right? This changed the world then. It changed it for us today. Jesus doesn't say, I must work the works of him who sent me. He said, we must work the works of him who sent me. We. He wasn't saying I. Jesus had done it all at this point by himself. Never once including his disciples in any of the healings or the miracles. It was Jesus. Now he says, we, not I. All right? When he tells his disciples that we must do the work, he's now empowering them to do the same works through God as Jesus was doing. Jesus then says, we need to do this during the day. Night is coming that no one can work. The reason he said that is at this time they didn't have electricity. When it got dark, everybody went in their homes. They didn't keep working. The world didn't spin for 24 hours like it does now. I remember when I first started working at 911 as a dispatcher, I had to work third shift. First time in my life I ever had to work third shift. I was talking to my Uncle Dave about it, and I was complaining. And he was like, you know what? Have you ever heard about the Great Chicago Fire? And I said, yeah. He's like, you know why that happened? I says, no. He says, because somebody was out in a barn working, and a cow kicked over the gas lantern and burnt the whole town down. It just says we shouldn't work at night. That's what I'm telling you. And I agree. We should be sleeping at night. So, but Jesus said that because during this time, at night, everything stopped. Because they couldn't see. They didn't have electricity. So at night, everybody just stopped doing what they're... So the work didn't happen at night like it does now. Okay? But this daytime light and nighttime darkness was not about light, about work. It's about Jesus being the light that they have with them. And darkness is coming at his death. When he's saying there's going to be a time it's going to be dark, he's referring to his death. All right? I feel like a lot of us can relate to that verse. For some of us, we don't understand our calling. We don't feel like we're enough to handle or live out the calling. You know what's always one of my favorite things about people's callings in life is this: what am I comfortable with? He's probably not calling you to do something you're comfortable with. He's probably calling you to be uncomfortable. He's probably calling you to step out of what you've created for yourself, to trust him. I was telling my wife this morning, I said, there's such a weight that comes with a Sunday morning. A lot of people, you guys get up and you're excited to be here, and I think that's great. But the weight of knowing I'm going to stand in front of God and answer for everything I say up here is heavy. It's very heavy, and it's scary, okay? There's a lot of time and effort that goes into praying and studying and praying that I don't mess this up in any human form, all right? I have two goals as a pastor, okay? To live a godly life and not end up on YouTube in a bad way. Okay? Like, I didn't even know this was a thing. Do you guys know churches close now between Christmas and New Year's to give people time off? That's a thing now we're doing in mega churches. I don't understand that. I don't get it. I'm going to tell you what. There's things I need time off from. There's times I need time off from hunting even. You know what I never need time off from is Jesus. I don't. It's the only thing that I never, ever want to be away from, okay? Verse 5, Jesus is telling them and us that he is the light of the world. That never stopped, even with his death. For those 3 days, yes, it was dark, it was scary, but there was still hope, as we've seen in Mary Magdalene. The one who had 7 demons, yeah, that Mary Magdalene. The one that had all these issues, the one that Jesus healed. Think about this. Think about Mary Magdalene. I was thinking about this when I was studying. You know, we see like the accounts in the Bible, but I like to make it real life. Because I bet Mary Magdalene dealt with a lot of the same things someone like I deal with. She lived a life. She was healed of that life. Well, people probably still had snide comments to say about her. People probably still called her out on things. And she never, ever, ever wavered in that faith. To the point that I don't think she gets enough credit, because she's the only one that went back to the tomb to clean up Jesus' body. His disciples weren't there. Where was Peter? He was sulking and whining. But Mary Magdalene, so rooted in her faith, she knew that light. And when he said, you need to carry this light out, she was doing that. Literally doing that. That's what Jesus is saying. You need to be the light of the world. All right? We're going to carry this out, for I am the light of the world. I just hope that when the time comes, we all can have hope like Mary Magdalene. What Jesus was saying to his disciples is the same calling that all believers have. Be the light of the world, and we won't be in this world forever. Make the most of it. Weep with those who are weeping. Mourn with those who are mourning. Have a heart for the lost and the broken. If someone's done you wrong, pray for them. Don't be like, oh, I hope they get what's coming to them. None of us hope we get what's coming to us. None of us, regardless. Okay? We were down to a trampoline park on New Year's Day in Ohio. I'm going to tell you guys a brief story. There's one thing in life that never fails, all right, besides the gospel. Ohio State people that make Ohio State babies, their kids are doomed. All right, I'm telling you. We're in this indoor trampoline park, right? There's like 100 people in there. They got all these little sections. You ever been to like Sky Zone? There's all these little trampolines. You go and jump all over the place. We used to go, it's like an hour minimum. Now it's a 2-hour minimum. I'm 41 years old. Do you have an old folks trampoline park I can go to with my kids? So we go in there, and there's this dodgeball pit. And this, no joke, this kid's got an Ohio State jersey on, and you would hit him with a ball. I didn't hit him with a ball. I wanted to, but I stood by my wife. And he'd be like, I'm not out. It hit me here, and that doesn't count. Over and over and over again, right? And I wanted to say something really bad. But I just said, boys, let's go over here. Let's just go over here. Because the kids are getting frustrated, right? Because they want to play, their little kids. And my point is that kid was taught this in life. It's all about winning. Nothing else matters. And all I thought about since that day was this: I want my kids to be known as good kids. Kids that are warm and welcoming and loving, you can have a conversation with. Not about a kid that wants to win in a dodgeball game about people he don't even know. And then the little dude come over to the other place and tried to teach me how to do a flip. I was like, you need to go find your parents. So, verses 6 and 7. Having said these things, he spit on the ground and made mud with the saliva. Then he anointed the man's eyes with the mud and said to him, go wash in the pool of Siloam, which means sent. So he went and washed and came back seeing. The one who was bringing spiritual light to this fallen world was the same one who brought physical light to this man who spent his entire life in the darkness. He was blind, and now he can see. We see Jesus spit on the ground and made mud, and it said he anointed the man's eyes with mud. Some versions of the Bible will say clay instead of mud. When I read and studied this throughout the week, I thought, how amazing is it that God can use mud to heal someone? Now think about this, okay? Something that's looked upon as dirty and a hazard and not welcome. That's what most would say mud is. It's not welcome, right? Like I know in the springtime, for me, I don't like the mud. Comes in your house, you get your dogs tracking in the house, all the things. However, that's what God used to heal this man. Something that's not welcome. Something that's dirty, right? Or the other version said clay. Something moldable, and it's needed to be formed or shaped by its creator. Brothers and sisters, we are mud and we are clay. Maybe, just maybe, God's calling you to be the help that leads someone to see the spiritual light to be healed from years of bondage. After he anointed the man's eyes with mud, it says he told him to go to the pool of Siloam and wash. It says he did that and came back seeing. Now, check this out. The pool of Siloam was located at the southeast corner of the city walls in Jerusalem. The pool of Siloam was the same pool the priests would draw water from during the Feast of the Tabernacles that we talked about in John 7. Now, Siloam was translated into the word sent. And remember, again, this is the same pool that the priests thought so much of that they would draw the water out of for the Feast of Tabernacles. Okay? Now, Siloam was translated into the word sent. And they drew this water out because the Jewish leaders and the religious leaders thought the blessing of God would come from that water only. Okay? Jesus was and is the greatest blessing for every nation. Jesus is the one sent from God. Jesus uses the water from the pool of Siloam as a great reference to the one who was sent. That's why he sent him there, for that reference, saying, I am the one that is sent. You go to that pool, the one that they say means sent, and then you come back and you can see. Think about that. All right? Verses 8 and 9. The neighbors and those who had seen him before as a beggar were saying, is this not the man who used to sit and beg? Some said it is he. Others said no, but he is like him. He kept saying, I am the man. I'm him. I'm that guy. This man has a transformation in his life. He is no longer who he once was. Yep. People could look at him and say, it's not him. This guy's a changed man. God just changed this man's life, all right? Physically changed his life. Something people could tangibly see now, all right? Now, I got to believe they were like, well, how do we know he can see? And he's probably like, I'm telling you, you're wearing a blue shirt and you have a flower or butterfly cane next to you, And he's telling them all these things. Now, instead of these people being like, oh my goodness, it's easier for some of them to believe it's not him. That's how rooted we get in our beliefs of people. It's how short we sell Jesus. Because it's easier to sell Jesus short so I can be right than it is to believe in the miracle and powers of Jesus. Listen, nothing's different 2,000 years ago from today. It's the same thing, all right? We even see this pop up again in the upcoming verses when the Pharisees would call this man out and not believe the miracle that happened. Yet each time, whether it was the Pharisee or it was a person that was saying, this is not the same guy, he kept saying, I am the one. Even after God changes your life, some people will find it easier to not believe it. Some people, all right, will find it easier to put you in a box because that's easier than to believe in the miracles and power of Jesus. And it keeps their algorithm the same. You know what people are scared of the most? Looking wrong. Nobody wants to be like, man, that Mike, he's a changed man. He's a different duck. He's on fire. I seen Mike the other day on the street corner preaching to people. Right? That was a bad example because all that stuff would really happen. Never mind. All right. It'd be like me saying Levi is a really angry person. All right? He's not. He's not. Right? But some people want to force that to be right. Same with this guy. They ain't the same guy. Guess what, brothers and sisters? That's going to be you when you get close to Jesus. Right now, there's somebody making you the victim of their story because they don't want to look bad. So when that happens, understand, put it where it belongs. It's people. All right? Verses 10 through 12. So they said to him, then how were your eyes opened? He answered, a man called Jesus made mud and anointed my eyes and said to me, go to Siloam and wash. So I went and washed and received my sight. They said to him, where is he? He said, I don't know. However, not all these people were naysayers. Some believed. The ones that believed said, how were your eyes opened? I love it how this guy doesn't say anything other than this. Jesus. Jesus. There was this man named Jesus. He gave me sight to see. You know what he doesn't say? You know what he doesn't say? I had to argue with him and say, listen, it wasn't me that sinned or my parents that sinned. I didn't have to make a deal with him. Jesus. You want to know about your salvation? Jesus. Nothing. The only thing you brought into your salvation, this is good because we all brought it together, sin. That's it. You brought nothing else. Even you good-looking folk only brought sin. All right? Sorry, Sharon, it was just sin. Your good looks came with it. Brothers and sisters sitting here today, you don't need a New Year's resolution. You don't need the ability to try harder. You don't need to go buy a 10-step program book. You need Jesus. I love how these people are still not 100% convinced, and they ask where Jesus was. I thought, let me ask you a question. How would he know where Jesus was? Listen, the last time he had an encounter with Jesus, you know what he was? Blind. He wanted to know what Jesus looks like. How would he be able to tell him where he's at? But these people are, where'd he go? I don't know. This guy named Jesus healed me. That's all I know. Where's he at? I don't know. I don't even know what he looks like because he's blind. He's not blind no more. All right? What we see here in this man's life is all of us sitting here today. We're blinded by our sin and have no way on our own to bring ourselves into salvation. There's nothing you're going to do. There's no deal you're going to make. None of that. Romans 3, verses 9 through 12 say it best. This is these 4 verses. Everybody should get up and read them every morning because they are like the most motivating verses in the world. All right? What then? Are we Jews any better off? This is Paul. Not at all. For we have already charged that all, both Jew and Greeks, are under sin, as it is written, none is righteous, no, not one. No one understands, no one seeks for God. This is my favorite one, verse 12. All have turned aside together. They've all become worthless. No one does good, not even one. Now, if that don't get you fired up for the new year, I don't know what does. Just reading your Bible where it says how everyone's become worthless. Here's the point of that. Not to beat down anybody. Not to make anybody feel bad. But without Jesus, that's us. That's us. This man was blind would have never been healed had Jesus not come and sought him out. You don't just one day make Jesus the Lord of your life. I hear this all the time, and it's something I kind of cringe about when people say it. Today I made Jesus the Lord of my life. No, you didn't. Jesus has always been the Lord of your life. Today you accepted the fact that Jesus is the Lord of your life. You don't one day just be like, all right, God, I'm done. Now you take over. That's not how it works. You fight it and fight it and fight it and fight it until one day he says, all right, Lord, I'm done. I submit to you. That's the difference. You don't one day wake up and say, today I'm going to make God the Lord of my life. That's not how it works. He's already the Lord of your life. He's in control of everything. All right? That's why submission is so important. Jesus is Lord and he's in control. You make the choice to submit to God and that control instead of fighting it. We see this man obey this command that Jesus told him to go to the pool of Siloam, and when he did, he could then see. It's no different than when Jesus' first command, which I don't understand why this isn't. To me, this is more popular than John 3:16. But it's not in the world we live in. Matthew 4:17. Jesus is the very first command we see Jesus ever say. All right? Matthew 4:17. From this time, Jesus began to preach, saying, repent, for the kingdom of heaven is near. It's so important to repent. But see, that's we sell that short so many times, guys. We're like, I don't understand it. I just don't get it. Jesus knows you cannot do this on your own. He knows you need him. Matthew 5 starts off with a Sermon on the Mount and the Beatitudes. It says, blessed are the poor in spirit. The first words in the Sermon on the Mount were saying, hey, guess what? I know you need me. Blessed are you. You can't do this on your own. You need me. No matter what you think, you need me. And blessed are those that say, I need you. I am weak. I am frail. And everybody's like, no, not me. I'm really good. Oh, yeah, one phone call can ruin everybody's life in here. Let's be realistic. We're all very fragile. The loss of a loved one can train wreck you the rest of your life. I don't care who you are. I have a friend. He's since moved out of state. His eyes have never been the same since his daughter passed away at like 7 years old. It's weird looking. You just look at it, you can see it. That's how real this is. We're not robots that are just born and then here and then die and go back. We got to understand that. There's so much more to this. This man's healing, although it appeared to be a physical healing, is the same for us today. We're blind without Jesus. We're lost and on a one-way trip to hell. Just because you're a good person doesn't mean you get to go to heaven. Just because you've never cussed means you get to go to heaven. Just because you spend every Sunday in church doesn't mean you get to go to heaven. It's a personal relationship with Jesus and submitting to his authority and repenting for your sins. That's it. Some of you say, I've done that, Matt, and I messed up again today. Good. Pray harder. Lord, guess what, Lord? I messed up. I was in the office praying this morning. I like to give you guys real nuggets of what it's like to be a pastor. I was in my office praying this morning, and I was like, Lord, give me. Lord, give me. Saying these things. And then I just stopped, and I said, Lord, I'm sorry. Give me. It's our prayer life, right? Give me. Give me strength, Lord. Give me your words for this message. Lord, give me strength and not fear when I get up front. Lord, let me not get sidetracked. Lord Jesus, help me. Give me. Give me. Give me. And now for some of us, we think, oh man, that's bad. That's what Jesus wants. He wants us to draw closer to him, asking him and going to him. Like as parents, like you got kids, you got grandkids, you ever get tired of hugging your son Levi? You ever get tired of hugging your look at mama shaking her head like absolutely not. Right? He don't get tired of us either, guys. Go to Jesus. That's the point of this, all right? We are blind without Jesus, but God, being rich in mercy, because of the great love with which he loved us, even when we were dead in our trespasses, made us alive together with Christ. By grace you have been saved. This man, worship team, go ahead and come up here. This man, he didn't set out that day to be healed. He didn't. He maybe set out to get some quarters to go get some Rotten Ronnies or something. He didn't set out that day to be able to physically see and have an encounter with the living God, Jesus. But it happened. Not because this man did anything special, not because this man read his Bible. Well, he didn't read his Bible. Not because this man did anything in particular. Because Jesus went to him. All right? Stop selling yourself short. Man, you got a new year and you got a calling on your life to go out and make disciples. I can promise you, I'm going to hit from old to little here. You older people that go to the doctor a lot, you've got a great opportunity to talk to people about Jesus. Listen, there's 2 times people think of their end. When they're at a doctor's office and they're at a funeral. Sharon, when you're getting your hip worked on, be like, do you know Jesus? And just start talking to them about Jesus. That's where you start. You middle-aged folks that are working, you're at work, I can promise you, you can go to work tomorrow and you're going to find somebody in a bad mood. I can promise you, you ain't going to have to look hard, you're going to find somebody in a bad mood. Tell them about Jesus. School-age kids, Judah, Asher, rest of you school-age kids, tell them about Jesus. Someone's having a bad day, tell them about Jesus. Start there and then see what happens. Worship team's going to close with a song. Alex will close us with prayer. You guys have a great week. Hopefully to see you guys Saturday for the movie.